Hey now, say now, what's up, solar system? It's your girl, Righteous Soul, and today I'm actually going to be not necessarily reacting, but giving my opinion about the Misunderstood album released by Queen Naija. Salute to you, young lady. First, salute for all the success that you've had up to date. I know recently it's been surrounded more by drama than it has you being able to solely focus on celebrating, and you have done an excellent job of kind of not paying much attention to the drama because your king, Clarence NYC, has definitely been standing in your defense, which I can commend, to a certain degree, because you want to be able to have someone in your life who is able to stick up for you when you're not around or when you can't defend yourself. So salute. But this focus of this video is solely on that album and what it could do for you as a subscriber. If you're watching and you haven't listened to the album, or if you have your opinion about the album, definitely put it in the comments below. But here's my take. She named that album Misunderstood, and it's apparent why. For years, at least the years that I've been watching their YouTube channel for months now, and of course this is me catching up with them and their existence and who they are behind the scenes and all of that. I wasn't into that before this year, so now I'm into it, let's just say that. And so as I've been watching them grow and watching her grow and understanding how she writes her songs, it is very important for you guys to not put her in a box by saying all she sings about is love songs, or all she knows is relationships, or oh my gosh, all of her stuff sounds alike. Because would you go to an NBA player and say, oh, all you do is play basketball, why don't you try soccer? Oh my God, you should try tennis, when his expertise is basketball. So if she's writing in her center focus, she is one of those whose love language is love. She's someone who hasn't been alone. All her life she's been with someone. And so I think there are girls like that all across the world who can identify with that. And that is who Queen is about to reach with this album. Now, there are some of us who don't put as much focus on relationships. We are more into the grind or into living different other aspects of life. But Queen in particular writes a lot of love, heartbreak songs. But you have to keep in mind that's where the last few years of her life has been. I mean, she has transitioned from a failed marriage, and I don't mean, and I almost hate when people say failed marriage. It's something that didn't work out. It didn't necessarily, it's not a failure unless you didn't learn or take anything from it, in my opinion. So I think, I want to take those words back. I don't want to say a failed marriage, but a marriage that did not work for her, and that's okay. She lived to love again, and that's what I embrace about her. I do see the different shots that are taken at her. I never come to her defense in the sense of I'm just starting what I'm doing now myself. But when I'm looking back at the different times that she's been attacked, it's usually regarding the ex. And when you have a child with someone, you have to keep in mind that that's just a different dynamic. And if you're not getting along, that child is going to suffer, and also the way you move and communicate with the ex is going to be something that people pay attention to. And so I think that's something that she's learning and she's able to put into her music. And the thing is, she is able to relate to a lot of people, because a lot of people, especially a lot of women, are damaged. They're very damaged, and some are what I call damaged goods. You're still good, you're just damaged. And Queen is one of those people. I would definitely put her under that umbrella. They make her come across as weak because she finds strength and love. And is that so bad? If having a counterpart and someone to share this journey with, is that so bad? Is it? I mean, I don't know. I really don't. I think when I think back on times when I've loved and experienced such things, I think in its purest form, then it is better to have someone by your side, than to kind of live this journey alone. It's always better, even if that someone is family, friends, even if it's not in the form of anything romantic, but just that. And Queen's album Misunderstood is going to address that, and people who are dealing with relationship issues are going, which is a lot of people. So you got to keep in mind, whereas you may see all she's singing about is blah blah blah, you have to also keep in mind. And I kind of gave Jasmine Sullivan slack, because I was like, she talks about is blah blah blah. So I want to take that back, in the sense of someone is still going to be able to relate to her messages, because they're going through that. So Queen, you can't, if you're not going to ask an NBA player to trade sports and stop playing basketball, that's all you do is play basketball, then I don't think it's fair for you to say, for her to stop singing in her expertise. Like, that's what she does. I do think she has a lovely voice. I don't think she's mediocre, as I've read in some of the reports. I honestly think she is a really, really dope artist. I really do. And I think that her trauma and the past pains and hurts are now coming up in this album, So I was able to list a couple of songs that stood out to me. I don't know what this album is going to do in numbers. But it is quarantine, and people are actually listening to more music, as well as watching more television or movies and Netflix and all that stuff. So she's going to make her rounds in different households. But I will say this regarding her: let her be. When someone has been pushed to the edge and they don't jump, let them live, because they chose to live. Sometimes when you get to the edge and everything's against you and people are attacking you left and right, it's hard to focus on your craft, the things that you want to do. It's hard to knock those goals off your list, but she did. And she is, and she's trying not to let the distractions get to her. And I don't come to anyone's defense when it comes down to drama, because I don't know really what their part is in it. What parts they played. All I know is the here and now is this young lady had a debut album release, and that we should be celebrating her for making that journey in the midst of so much going on around us, right? So I think Queen is the misunderstood version of Queen is, you can find one of them in every neighborhood. You can find a girl like Queen in every neighborhood. That's not to say she's not rare. That's just to say that she can identify with different souls across the globe, and at least somebody in every neighborhood will be able to identify with her, because we all experience heartbreak, we all experience pain, and we all experience a level of grief that comes with it that we don't always heal from. And she says it in some of her songs. With that girl that's in every neighborhood, with the queens that are growing up in every neighborhood, these people tend to age slowly, but they love fast. Like they kind of age appropriately, but their love is like, there's a craving for it. And when girls are like that, there tends to be that need to connect with another soul, that need to be loved and give love, and then to experience what your love language is. A lot of us don't find our love language because we don't know what that is. We have no idea. Like I was taught how to love, I just was never taught how to be loved, if that makes sense. Like, I know for a fact that I can love someone purely and give that part of myself, but how to be loved is a different thing, because you have to know you. And if half of our lives we're spent trying to understand ourselves, of course we're going to be misunderstood by the world, because we don't even have a clear grip on who we are. So I wanted to salute her for this album, and I wanted to mention some things that actually stood out for me. So allow her the freedom to be who she is in her craft, in her R&B lane, and also allow her the freedom to be human. That's what Queen is at the end of the day. She is a human being that is ultimately trying to pursue craft, which is in music. And yes, she has themes of relationship, of sex, of love, and those human connections, because that's the kind of soul you're dealing with. And once you understand that, then you can understand her music, right? And so now one thing, lie to me was one of the ones that I didn't necessarily agree with, because you don't want anyone to lie to you. Even if it's going to hurt you, you don't want them to lie to you. But as she was mentioning in an interview, she didn't write the hook of that song, but she did sing, do the other part. So I don't agree with us sending just any kind of message to the women out there in the world, because for those that are listening to her, she may be a motivational factor on how they get over a bad breakup or a bad marriage. So when you are sending mixed messages, one message in your album is about healing and getting through the past and moving forward, but you're also saying a lie to me. So you're sending those two different messages, and they're going to be reaching people, and then that turns the women into some of the women that you're affecting, and who are trying to listen to you because you did get over and through something that didn't work out with someone else. So they may think, oh, well, if she can do it, then I can do it, and they start hardening their heart and saying, you know what, don't worry about it, lie to me, I'd rather not know the truth. And that may be a true story. A lot of people would rather not know the truth, but I would rather you know the truth, ladies. The sooner we can get to the truth, the better, right? Okay, because I don't wish that for you. I don't wish you not learning or not growing or not advancing because you didn't want to know what he was really doing, And a lot of us already know what they're doing, and we're settling. Which brings me to two of the songs that stood out to me: Too Much to Say and Bitter, right? So with Too Much to Say, she releases part of her childhood issue. And she doesn't tell it, but she released the fact that something happened. But because of the drama that could arise from it, I won't share it, but I'm still getting through it, if that makes sense. She's saying she's getting over it. And that's just a part of her past. And she shares how she has to deal with that, and live with it because she don't want to, upset her mom or whatever. And we come from these broken black families where we're saying, don't speak our business in public. What happens here stays here, in this house. And that's a double-edged sword. Like, while I understand privacy and the need to protect the business of a family, I do also promote healing and people getting the help they need. And the only way for that to happen is to release your truth. And if your truth means someone else gets in trouble or gets outed or gets exposed, then hey, it's one of those double-edged swords. Like I just mentioned, I don't know what you want me to do here. Like, I can only break free if I share my story, and then I can only be tortured if I keep it in. And then if keeping it in may prevent drama, but it doesn't promote my healing. And so black families, and it happens in other families too. I'm not going to be put the race thing on there, but I know firsthand from growing up in a black family that it happens a lot, and it's not okay. We are dealing with these things as adults. So you just got a 36-year-old who is now broken. So you got a 36-year-old that's 12 years old at heart because of things that is keeping them back in those years because they can't share it, if that makes sense. So she mentions that. And that's just the complexity of where her present is, and it's all a reflection of where she has been with her childhood, as well as with a marriage that did not work out. And so because it's too much for her to say, which goes with the title, Too Much to Say, she'd rather bottle it up because it keeps down the drama, and she's already dealing with enough drama, So, and then I watched, some of her YouTube channels and her pranks and things. She's a bubbly spirit, and just to see that has been broken at one point, or someone tried to hide that light of hers, it does make me sad for her, but happy for her that she's able to release the album. Okay, lastly, Bitter. Bitter was an empowerment song that's expressing that the last guy didn't know her worth, but she has to now relearn her worth, and she's not going to be bitter about it. She's just not going to give anyone else the time of day who doesn't know her value, her worth, and even she lost what that was and what allowing someone to do that to her. So she's mentioning in there that she's a good girl with a hustle. That's a good thing. That's a good, because you got a motivator there. There's a motivational factor there, is that, hey, I'm going to hustle because I want to get to a different place in my life. And I, and all people, can definitely understand that part. And now she's saying, hey, now you're rocking with a winner. When you got a good girl that can hustle, that's a winner, so now you're dealing with a winner and not someone who's broken and not someone who doesn't know their worth. And it's easier said than done, but ladies, we can't be triggered by someone who doesn't know our worth, and her lyrics say that. So the two songs that I would recommend is Too Much to Say and Bitter. Those are two that I would recommend. I think Mulatto is featured on Bitter, and Too Much to Say is just a personal thing that I think people can take personal when they connect to her, who's dealt with different childhood issues. So I said all that to say I salute Queen Naija on her debut album release. I hope that the numbers are exceedingly beyond what she would hope for, and I hope for every Queen Naija that's out there in every neighborhood, I hope that you find the love and the connection that you've been yearning for, and keep living and keep learning, because it's out there. I remember not always wanting to be the one to love the most or to love the hardest when I found someone, and though I haven't been in like a legitimized relationship, when I finally had someone who loved me almost more than I loved them, in a way, because I felt like, God, the only way I'm going to make this love thing work is this next time you send me someone who loves me more than I love them, because then I trust me. I trust that I can level up my love, but I don't trust having to feel like I'm begging and pulling for love in other directions. So when I found that, y'all, it was beautiful. It ended bittersweet, but it was definitely beautiful, and I wish for that kind of surprise love on everybody who's listening under the sound of my voice. You deserve that. Don't let anyone tell you anything differently. And for y'all who are kind of going to be harsh on people who sing about some of the same things, you got to keep in mind you're not taking people from their area. Everyone has treat it like a machine. If a machine has different parts, and as long as all the parts are working together, the machine can do what it was designed to do. And I see that as in everybody in the world is part of this big machine. And if Queen Naija's focus is on love, relationships, and making love and being passionate, then she's moving that part of the machine, right? And so other people may be on talking about the grind or hustling, or whatever people attribute to this or contribute to this machine. And if everybody's moving their part of the machine, then that's how we all get together to further our journey as a group, as a collective, as humans. And guys, don't forget, she's a human being. When you're judging her album, keep in mind she could see the comments. Keep in mind that everybody, and it's okay, because as an artist, we put ourselves in those positions to be judged by those listening to our craft. So she has to understand that everyone isn't going to like it, and there are going to be people who say she's singing about the same thing, but you got to listen harder, because this time she's not. She's singing about overcoming those things, and that sometimes it's difficult to do when you have to keep your mouth closed for the peace of things. So listen a little harder and find yourself in at least some part of this album, and then be able to give her her salutes, her cheers, and her toast, because she does deserve it. All right, that was my review of Misunderstood. I salute her again, being one of the pioneers, not pioneers, but one of the people who I've been watching, rather. So she's a pioneer for me in becoming a YouTuber. Then I'm gonna put my hats off to her. And then as an African American woman rising through the ranks in the R&B field, during a period of the pandemic, it's just good to be doing numbers right now. All right. I know it's my world, you know it's my world, but it really isn't a world without you in it. Y'all keep me spinning, okay? And remember, you already know the rest. Hey now, say now, and we're out.